Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
His bright smile and vibrant personality outshines the past of a painful experience that left Brian Muchiri battling with paralysis. This is after a car crash left him paralyzed from his neck downwards. But his condition does not define who he is. Brian is a blogger who is proud and confident about his story, which he shares to encourage others to embrace their own unique beauty.
Just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to MBCI TV. My name is Teresa Carey. Now on today's show, I'm super excited to be joined by one amazing gentleman. He is an inspiration and he's using his story as a testimony to inspire others. At the age of 19 years, he got involved in a terrible car crash that left him paralyzed. But this didn't stop his will to live, and he's learning to live one day at a time. Today, we're going to share the story of this awesome gentleman as we get to meet him. Stay tuned. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Brian?
I'm very fine.
It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Yeah, I think I've read so much on your blog and everything, and it's just awesome to meet you.
Okay.
I have known you so much through your blog, but most people don't know you.
Okay.
I want you to tell us who is Brian.
Brian is a 23-year-old, and I got an accident back in 2014, a spinal accident caused by a car crash, and I fractured my vertebrae, my C vertebrae, C5 vertebrae, which means I lost all movement from my armpits down, so I have no sensation. So since then I've been learning to live on this wheelchair, and as you said, I'm taking a day at a time. Yeah, trying to inspire others with my story, and trying to make the best out of this story. Yeah.
Okay, and before we actually get to what happened to the day of the accident and everything, I'd like you to tell us what kind of a kid were you growing up?
I think I was a very calm kid. Since kitambo, I've always been very chini ya maji.
As he narrates his story, it has not been an easy journey. Brian was born and grew up like other children, with so many dreams and aspirations.
I finished my Form 4 in 2011, and then I proceeded on to JKUAT to do procurement sciences, or purchasing and supplies.
How was campus life?
Campus life was very nice. It was very different because I'm from the countryside. And adapting to town life was a bit challenging, but I'm always up to the challenge. So I appreciated pia kuchanuka kiasi. Yes.
Wow. All through campus, what were your dreams? What were your expectations?
I had very big dreams. I've always been very ambitious. I wanted, my plan was to finish my degree, and then after my degree maybe enroll to the army, and then maybe become a cadet. Yes, that was the plan.
In campus, what kind of activities were you involved in?
I've always been a fan of rugby, a fan and a player. I used to play in high school. I was a player. I used to play the winger because I was quite fast. I had quick feet.
Tell us the specific day of how everything changed and the exact details of what happened that day.
Okay, it was early morning of the 8th of February 2014, and me and a few friends of mine were coming from Tao, and we were coming home. So around Upper Soilo, it's in the Nakuru Eldoret highway coming to Kabarak. And that's where we met our accident, and we were hit by a trailer. And it's from the time of the scene, from the impact itself. I think my memory is still a blur. So I was told I was taken to hospital, to Valley Hospital, because that's I think that's the first hospital is fine from the highway. And then I was there till evening. But at the time, because you know, it's spinal injury, it doesn't leave a physical wound, because it's an internal dislocation. So at the time, I don't think anyone knew what was happening to me. They just thought maybe I was suffering a head trauma or something, because I was also very sedated. I couldn't speak a lot. I was sleeping. But I think the doctors guessed that it was a spine injury, so they advised my parents to take me to Aga Khan, because they are the best when it comes to spinal injury cases. So the same evening, on the same Saturday evening, I was rushed to Aga Khan. Yeah. And then I didn't spend quite a lot of time in Aga Khan because they are so expensive. And maybe after 3 days, I was taken to Kenyatta Hospital. That's where they did the operation. Yeah.
And at that moment when you're being moved from one hospital to another hospital, what is going through your mind?
I'm so confused. And I'm not sure what is going on. I don't think anyone was sure. And at the time, people from home were giving out all kind of stories that I was dead, that I didn't have legs, my legs were cut off, stories like those. So it was a very difficult moment, especially for the people around me, like my parents, my family, my friends, because they are the ones who had to deal with those kinds of stories from people from home. But through it all, there was always something reassuring in my mind, and I knew that all things were going to be better. And somehow, I just knew things would get better, pole too. I was not sure what was going to happen, but I was hoping that things would get better. Yeah.
And at the time of the accident, did anyone else survive?
3 of them died, and then I lost one friend that day. His name was Njogona. Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is that you got to live. And so at the time when you're told now you have a spinal injury, what goes through your mind?
I don't think there was ever, I don't think I can point out the specific time that I was told I was suffering from spinal injury. I think it was like a small cycle. It didn't happen like once. They didn't like sit me down and tell me you have spinal injury, no, you won't walk again. It was gradual. Maybe I got to know the severity of my injury better when I came back home, and then I Googled. That's when I knew what spinal injury was. So we found out by ourselves. But but in the hospital, I don't think maybe they talked to my parents, but me, I didn't know.
Wait, there's no kind of counseling that you're taken through, you're told something?
No. Me, I Googled for myself.
What?
Yeah.
And then when you find out what is happening, what goes?
Yeah, I dealt with it also, just like that by myself. I read a lot of, I read a lot of sad stuff. I read a lot of very positive stuff, because with spine injury, you know, you experience a lot of things. There's a lot of despair, a lot of hopelessness. So I read all the stuff. I read about the people who committed suicide because of spine injury. I've read about the people who've conquered spine injury. So I read everything. That's how I dealt. Yeah.
So you took yourself through your own counseling?
Yeah.
Through your own research?
Yeah, through my own research, but you know, I would be lying if I said it was just by myself, because I've received a lot of support from my parents, from my friends, a lot from my family. But you know, if you receive the most support from everyone, and you inside your heart you're not willing, you don't have the will to live, you know, it can't work. So as much as they were giving me support, I think also all that reading and all that research I was doing, it also came to play.
And everyone around you, were they aware of what was going on?
I don't think they knew quite well. You know, everyone, when you hear spine injury, you just think it's from the waist down. That's what people think, yeah. So, and for my case, it was quite high, because as I told you, I got the 5th vertebrae dislocation. So it's from 1 to, so it's quite high. So it means that my hands also are not quite mobile. They are not that useful because my fingers don't work. So people, up to now, people don't still understand what exactly my level of injury means, because they keep asking, hey, ulianza kutembea, ulianza kusimama, mikono zilianza kufanya kazi. Yeah, so I don't think everyone has quite understood. Yeah.
So there's no awareness about the condition that you have?
I don't think there's enough awareness. I think people know probably from seeing on TV or from hearing from other people, but awareness, when it comes to awareness, I don't think there's enough awareness about spinal injury. Yeah.
I'm thinking, umetoka hosi,
Uh-huh.
umekuja home.
Yeah.
Do you try to move? Do you try to walk? Because you still don't have an understanding of what is happening.
No, you know, there's no even trying, because you can't. Because when I was lying on the bed like that, and my body is just like a log of food. Yeah, there's no trying. You know, it's like a piece of food. Yeah. When you tell it to move, you can't tell it to move because it can't. Yeah, that's how I was. Even if you told me jaribu tu, jaribu, I can't. Even if I tried, because there's no information. It's just medical. The information isn't getting to my fingers. So even if you try, you can't.
On your own opinion, do you think that probably the doctors should have maybe told you something about it, told you what to expect?
Yeah, maybe they should have, but maybe they told my parents. But you know, we are still in Kenya, and all that counseling stuff is not hatujatilia manani sana. But I think it's also a blessing, because I got to know it by my own terms, even if it was a little bit scary at first. But I think the fact that I discovered all these things by myself is probably the reason why I was able to overcome, because I learned everything by my own terms. I think if someone came to tell me that you will not walk again, all those stuff, I think I could have been very depressed. But maybe it worked for me. But I think it should be advised that doctors should take patients through that kind of counseling. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then now after the accident, you've come back home and you've told us you have a very awesome support system that has supported you, your parents, your friends. You have an awesome support system. So just them getting now used to now the kind of life that you're going to live. Tell us how they've helped you through.
I have an awesome support system. My friends, my family, especially my mom and father, because they are my caretakers. And for patient with spinal injury like myself, with such a high level, you are very dependent with everything, especially in the first few months. You know, you can't feed yourself, you can't bathe, you can't even comb your hair, because your hands are too weak. Now, with time, that's when you start getting a little bit strength, a little bit mobile, and then you get a wheelchair like this one. You can move around. So I think for those few months, like for those first 2 years that I was completely dependent, my friends, my cousins, especially my cousins, and they have been very instrumental when it comes to improving the quality of life. Because you know, for someone with spinal injury, when you tell someone to help you with something, and then they say no, you start feeling like a burden, but I've never felt like that. They've always been there, they've always been supportive. Yeah, they've always been there to answer when I call.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how was the process of accepting now that this is the new life that I'm going to live?
It was gradual. If I said I accepted, I would be lying, because of course I was only 19. I had just started enjoying life. I was in Campo. I had started getting a little bit of freedom. So it was gradual and took a lot of time, took a lot of help, because it's difficult for you to be walking 1 minute and the next you can't even hold a spoon. So it's very difficult. So imekuwa pole pole tu sana. A lot of patience, a lot of inspiration from different places. Yeah, imekuwa pole pole tu sana. Yeah.
And then now you transitioning now to the life that you are going to live.
Mm-hmm.
Are there probably people who were there before that circle inakuwa ndogo ama inakuwa kubwa?
Of course. In the beginning, of course, unajua when you in the first few months, watu ni wengi sana in the first few months, because there's a lot of pity and people are coming to see you in Hosi. In fact, the nurses used to complain a lot in Kenyatta because I had a lot of visitors. And then, life moves on. So someone visits you for 1, 2 times, 3 times, and it's okay, you understand, because life has to move on. Mtu hawezi shinda akikuona every day. But there's those people who stuck, yeah? Walikuwa na wewe. So at the time, there was a time I was feeling very lonely, and because I didn't have as much friends as I used to have. And some of those friends that I thought would stick didn't. And it's okay, I was prepared. My mom used to prepare me. She used to tell me, and just to be prepared, because everything won't be so smooth. But with time, I've learned to make new friends.
And then I think at the end of it, you kind of realize who are your true friends in the
process. Of course. Mm-hmm. With time, you appreciate the process, because you later on, that's when you see, kweli, now I know who my friends are. And there's no doubt, right now, if you asked me who my friends are, I'd tell you with assurance, because I know. But before, maybe I could have been mistaken. But now I know who would stick out for me, and I'm sure they know that I would be there for them too.
Just fight a little longer, my friend. It's all worth it in the end. But when you got nobody to turn to, just hold on and I'll find you. I'll find you. I'll find you. Just hold on and I'll find you.